over an 18 because a dependent is considered 17 and 364 days. Okay? So.
Or is a full-time student under the age of 24.
Right, but they aren't necessarily savvy to that. They're thinking 18 and older is not a dependent. And I'm wondering if we're not even capturing a lot of the people that we could be counting in their family structure just by simple, they're just not educated as to, this is who lives with me. I don't know, I think you're sending two different
we're confusing
messages.
taxes with the 4A,
Yeah.
they're two separate things, so.
But we're
I think
using,
that's where
we
we're
are using
conflicting.
a tax law as a definition to
Right.
include or exclude people from a household as dependents.
Well, this is the first time I've ever even heard of counting somebody over 18 up to 24. So I haven't heard, and I'm guaranteeing you my clients haven't heard it, because they never list. I have never in 3.5 years had for a list somebody 21, 22, 23, anything over 18 for that matter.
What about kids that are severely disabled?
That would fit under the,
That would fit under the IRS definition of a dependent. Like I said, this is one of those situations where when you're talking to your client, part of it is going to be you're educating your client as far as, you know, who are you listing here? Who else is living, is there anyone else living with you? What's the situation? So you're having that conversation with them if you feel that we're not capturing.
yeah, but I need to be educated before I educate them, and right now I'm not educated. I'm totally confused as to who gets counted and who doesn't. And so I just want to do it right. I just don't, there's been several messages and I'm just not sure which one. They're kind of
So
conflicting.
dependents, let's just write it up here. So dependents can be, as per the IRS, full-time student under 24, is that what we're saying?
Dependents are anyone 17 or younger.
Okay.
Full-time student under 24.
Didn't she just say that?
Under 24, okay.
You have to, typically, you have to do at least half of their total support. So I have to provide at least 51% of their support for the year.
Or what children was
So it could be a
supposed to
niece or nephew that you bring in, right?
The IRS is very particular as far as, for
If
purpose
you're
of
carrying,
this,
if you're carrying financially
for purpose of this, it is your child. It is your child. The problem with it is, and we could spend the next 3 hours talking about dependents. I was looking on the IRS's website yesterday for their definition of dependent, and it took me in about 15 different directions with it. Because it really depends on each person's individual circumstances. And if you go in and you do use like a tax software to figure it out, depending on which program, how you enter your information is going to tell you whether that child is a dependent or not. Last year, my 21-year-old daughter was a dependent because she made less than $3,000. This year, because she made more than $3,800, she wasn't. So it's just one of those that it's a little bit, we can't boil it down to a simple answer. I just don't think we can. Aside from like
I
this.
think, yeah, I agree that I don't think we're gonna come up with anything right now. I do think there needs to be a way for counselors to figure it out without having to be tax experts.
Right.
Yeah.
So I will, maybe you can give me some of your resources and I'll look at it and see if I can't create something that at least makes it so that we can function and use it.
If you just put it on a summary sheet.
That's what I'm thinking, just
have it
something
right there.
that you can use, so you don't have to go look something up every time, you don't have to be an expert in tax law, but you feel comfortable filling out the form.
Well, and like I said, chapter 8 has a little bit in it. So use your chapter 8. It's got the basic information right there with it.
Okay, alright, I'll get that.
Hey, clients will often ask, hey, what about my rent, my car payment, my cell phone bill? Where am I gonna be counting that? Where's the spot to list that? Those are normal living requirements. Those are normal living expenses, we don't give any extra credit for that. That's what the normal living requirement that we exempt off the top of when we do the 48 covers. Fines and restitution. People would come in and say, well, you know, I owe the court $1,000, so where do I put that down? Doesn't count. On the back side of that 4A, where we're talking about court-ordered support payments, it's alimony, it's child support. It's support payments only. So be careful when you're doing these that you're not including any other restitution fines that they might be paying as a result of illegal activities on their part. The auditors will have a field day with that one. Again, we're taking our client's word for this. Clients can tell me what they're gonna pay. I'm not gonna go call ORS and say, well, how much is he really supposed to be paying? Or I'm not gonna say, bring me in a copy of your court order, you know, your support order. He's gonna put down what it is, I'm gonna take his word for it, and we're gonna move on. Okay? What other questions do you guys have about the 4A?
I got a question on the top portion there. Two things. Why do we put a date next to marital status? Why does it matter? I mean, does it ever get looked at?
Because sometimes you'll have a client who was single and then they've got married over the course of the last year. So last year they marked single on it, this year they marked married. We're just putting a date that says, oh, it happened in this last year. Same thing with divorce and whatever.
Well, there's also a dash next to single.
I know. That's because that's a column that has dashes.
Okay. And then why do we need?
It's the day I'm born.
Because that's the way the form's configured.
Well, and it makes me wonder, you know, do we need to redo the form at some point? And why do we need names of dependents? Now, if the client doesn't want to put a name down, you know, isn't the age sufficient if we're seeing if could qualify as a dependent? Some clients have issues putting the names of their kids down on these papers. And I'm wondering, well, why are we requiring it? Because we really don't care.
We don't ask for tax.
We really don't. The only reason I could think that it would have to have a name there would be if at some point the case went to a place where it was looked at very closely, audited, or, you know, we suspected somebody was defrauding us. Then we would need, these are the names you listed, and this is the age you put by them. Oh no, I meant this kid was that age or whatever. If they're having problems with putting a name down, have them put down an initial. Some of the stuff on the forms is required by the law, some of it's by the feds, and it's one of those that figure out a way to make it work, because I don't see it changing anytime soon with it, depending on what, you know, the RSA does with our 9/11s.
I feel bad when I have to tell the client, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That it'd be nice to actually give them an explanation, because they're asking like, why do I do this, or what do you want here? And I'm like, I really have no clue.
Short of going in and looking at the code that says why we have to, why this is required, my best guess would be that it's required in that code, or in the law that says you have to do this test. And it's probably similar to the law that they use for workforce services and the law they use for any other program that's using state funding. So, blame it on the legislature.
And it,
That's what I was just saying. What other question, any other questions on the 4A? Okay, let's,
Oh, well, but the insurance company name, we don't need that, we've got that in the application.
I know.
No,
Well, sometimes they don't put it on the application, or remember, this is something that you're doing every single year with your client, so should your client, when they apply, they don't have insurance, but then when you do your annual review, suddenly their spouse has it, or something like that, now they have it, and then it's being listed, so.
I thought you only had to do that though if there was a significant change.
No, you have to do a
Every
new
year.
one every year. It is required. New 4A every year.
Well, that's why they mail it in the annual review.
Keep in mind, this is the one thing that we require our clients to fill out every year to give us an update on what's going on in their life.
I just thought for sure that's what you told us in the annual review training was that finances don't have to be reconsidered every year unless there's been a significant change. I thought, I'm
I
pretty
didn't
sure
do
you
the
said that in the
annual
training.
Did I? Did I do the annual review? I don't think I did the annual training.
I'm waiting.
That's what I was told, and so I stopped doing it every time, because there hasn't been any change, or there's still
I
some
know that's
social
something I've
security,
seen
so-
when I've looked at files for our district, but it does need to be done every year,
Mhm.
Okay.
every year. Now, there